Today's most visited tourist attraction, the Colosseum, was built under Vespasian, who was the ninth emperor of Rome. The construction of this amphitheater started in about 70 AD and was finished 10 years later when his son Titus ruled over Rome. One of the things that the Colosseum was used for were gladiatorial contests. Most gladiators were slaves and convicted criminals who were chosen because of their physical strength. They were forced to fight in arenas plainly for the entertainment of the Roman civilians, although a small portion of the gladiators were volunteers who got paid for risking their lives in the arena. A defeated gladiator could raise his hand to ask for grace, and the decision was dependent on the crowd. A different and very popular show was the chariot race. This sport is what the Colosseum was originally built for. In a chariot race, there were a few drivers, or charioteers, steering 2 to 4 horses. The objective of the game was to complete as many laps in as little time as possible. Another performance, called Venations, was basically about hunting animals. It wasn't hosted very often because of the difficulty of catching wild animals, but when it was organized, the Colosseum was crowded with people waiting to see the animals fight against people. The people didn't wear heavy armor or carry swords, as shown in many movies, but they were trained animal handlers, called venators, who usually used spears to defend themselves against the animals. The animals chosen to amaze the viewers were, for example, rhinos, ostriches, lions, and bears. During this performance, the arena was made to look like a natural landscape with small hills and bushes. Other things shown in the Colosseum were executions. Around noon, spectators could watch people getting executed in various different ways. Those who were killed in the arena were people who committed serious crimes such as theft and rape, and at the time, being Christian was also considered a crime because there was no religious freedom. Executions were shown to the public to discourage them from committing crimes. Lastly, probably the most loved sport by the Romans, were the sea battles. The emperor ordered to flood the arena basin with water that reached 5 feet in depth, so that the battle could begin. There were custom-made boats that were flat on the bottom so that they wouldn't scrape the floor. During the battle, there were many boats, each about 12 meters long, with gladiators inside who would fight against the opposing side. Later, the sport became so popular that it was no longer being hosted in the Colosseum, and instead, it got moved to a lake not far from the Flavian Amphitheater, which is another name for the Colosseum. It also allowed the Romans to keep wild animals in trapdoors of the Colosseum. And there you have it, 5 things that happened in the Colosseum. Hopefully from this video you've learned that the Roman Empire was a pretty messed up place.